안녕하세요, 여러분. Jessica입니다. Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica. Welcome to K-pop Lyrics Decoded, where we take the difficult grammar in K-pop songs and break it down into smaller, easier to understand little chunks. And today we're going to do Feel Special by Twice. All right, let's jump in. All right, so the first line is You make me feel special. 세상이 아무리 날 주저앉혀도. Let's take a listen.
You make me feel special. 세상에 아무리 날 주저앉혀도.
All right, so that's basically 4 Korean words. Obviously, you don't need an explanation for the English words, otherwise, why are you listening to this video? Okay, so the red word, the first word we have there is sesangi, and that comes from sesang, which means world, and then is our topic marker. It just lets us know, hey, this is the topic. This is what we're talking about here. So sesangi, world. All right, and then the next word that we have, the yellow word, amuri. So there's 2 different forms of this word really. If it's just amuri by itself, it just means however, like however much. But when we have amuri blah blah do, and we add do at the end of a verb, it basically means no matter how much. So amuri 공부해도, no matter how much I study. No matter how much I verb. And that's the form that we have here. We have amuri, and then we have do at the end of the verb, which we will talk about that in just a second. And then the next word we have is nar. And that comes from na, which means me or I. And it's the informal version of that word. Cho is the formal version, but na is informal. And then we have ru, which is our object marker. It lets us know that's the thing that the verb is acting on. So it's me in this case, 나를. It's happening to me. But this is kind of like the shortened form of that. They took 나를 and they wanted to save just a few precious seconds, and they shortened it to 날. 날, me, and it's happening to me. Okay. And the last word we have, that long blue word, is 주저앉혀도, which comes from the verb 주저앉히다, which means to force a person to sit down. All Korean verbs end with da. And we can conjugate them in different ways to take out that da. And in this case, we translated it to that do form, like even though. 아무리 blah blah do, 아무리 주저앉혀도. So 주저앉히다 means to force someone to sit down. Okay, so how can we translate that into English? Well, here we have it translated as you make me feel special no matter how the world brings me down. You might be wondering, well, that blue word says to force a person to sit down, not to bring someone down. But this is a song. We want to try to make it sound good. Could you imagine if this said, you make me feel special no matter how the world first forces me to sit down? Doesn't quite have that same ring to it. So when we're translating something to a song, we try to make it sound a little bit more poetic. All right, so let's go to the next one. Okay, and the next line we have is 아프고 아픈 말들이 날 질러도. This one's kind of interesting because you can see that we have the 2 red words there, and that's because they both come from the same word. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So really we have 4 different Korean words here that we're going to look at. So the first one is 아프고, and that comes from the verb 아프다, which means hurt. You might have heard someone say 아파, which means like, ow, that hurts, 아파. So all Korean verbs end with da, so the base form of that verb is 아프다. Now, we have this in the go form. We have this in the and form because if we add go after the verb here, then it's like you're saying this and this with 2 different verbs. So, look here. We have 아프고, which is from 아프다, and 아픈, which is also from 아프다. They're both from 아프다. But when you have a verb with go, it means and like 아픈, That's the adjective form of 아프다. It's making it describe something else. So this is saying it hurts and hurts, and it's describing something. What's it describing? Let's look at the next word. We have 말들이. And 말 is one word that means like speech or words. And then we have 들 after it, which makes it plural. 말들, words. It's like if you want to say cats. 고양이 is cat. 고양이들 is cats. And then we have 이 after it, which is our topic marker. It's the thing that's doing the verb. So 아프고, 아픈, it hurts and hurts, 말들이, words. Now the next word we have is 날. And that comes from 나, which is the informal way to say me or I. And then we add 를 after it, which is our object marker. It lets us know what thing the verb is acting on. But we're trying to save a few precious seconds here, so we're contracting it from 나를 down to 날. 날. It's happening to me. 나를, me. 날, me. Okay, and the last word we have is 찔러도, and that comes from the verb 찌르다, which means to pierce or stab. But we have it in its 도 form. If we add 도 after a verb like this, it means even. So even if this happens, even when this verb happens. 도. All right. 아프고, hurts and, 아픈, hurts, 말들이, words, 날, me, 찔러도, even if they stab. Okay, so how can we translate that? Even when hurtful words stab me. Okay, so that even comes from 또, or even when comes from 또. Hurtful comes from 아프고 아픈, hurts and hurts. 말들이, words, stab, 찔러도, me, 날. All right. Now, I know that this one, it sounds a little bit different from the English translation, and that's because when we're translating something from Korean into English and it's a song, they're going to take some liberties with the translation just to make it sound poetic. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. This line is 네가 있어, 난 다시 웃어. Let's listen to that.
네가 있어 난 다시 웃어 That's what you do
This line is made up of 5 Korean words and 4 English words. So let's break it down piece by piece. So the first word we have is 네가, and that comes from 너, which is the informal way to say you. I'm sure you've heard this word a million times in different K-pop songs. It's super, super common. But when they want to say you as the subject, it's spelled like this, 네가. That took me a long time to figure out when I was first learning Korean. I thought, why is this spelled like this? And then finally I just had to accept that's just how it's spelled. Okay, and the next word we have is 있어, and that comes from the verb 있다, which means to be. 있다 or 없다, that is the question. Ignore my horrible joke. Okay, 있다 means to be, usually in a place. So, 네가 있어, you exist in a way. All right, and 있어 is the informal way to say 있다. All right, and next we have 난, which comes from the informal way to say me or I. And then we add 는 after it, which is our subject marker. It's the particle that lets us know what the subject is, the thing that's doing the verb. 나는, me, informally. But again, we're trying to save a few precious seconds, so we shorten it from 나는 to just 난. And the next word we have is 다시, just means again. If you've ever seen Produce 48 or Produce 101, you know 다시, 다시. Okay, and the last word we have is 웃어, 웃어. And that comes from the verb 웃다, which means to laugh. And this is the informal conjugation. This whole song is all informal. Okay, so 네가, you, 있어, exist, or to be, 난, me, 다시, Again, 웃어, laugh. And we translate that as, I smile again because you're here. And of course, the English, that's what you do. Now, as you can see, we add the word here. You might be thinking, but Jessica, I don't see the word here. And that's because when we translate it into English, we have to take some liberties to make it sound good. Like I said before, make it sound poetic. So if you want to translate this literally, I smile again, you exist, it doesn't sound as good, right? So we want to make it sound nice. All right, let's go to the next line. I know it feels like we're going pretty fast, so feel free to rewind the video and replay it as many times as you need to feel like you're really learning the vocabulary words here. The best way to go through these videos is to take it one line at a time and wait until you feel like you really know all the words of that first line before you move on to that next one. And then you can really start to sing along and actually understand what you're singing instead of just mimicking the sounds. All right, so let's talk about this next line. The next line is, again I feel special. 아무것도 아닌 존재 같다가도.
Again I feel special. 아무것도 아닌 존재 같다가도.
And this line has 4 English words and 4 Korean words. So let's break those down. So the first Korean word is 아무것도. 아무것도. That means nothing. No thing. And 것 literally means thing. So 아무것도, nothing. All right, the next one is 아닌. And that comes from the verb 아니다, which means to not be or to be not or no. So maybe you've heard 아니에요. No. No. So this is in its adjective form. So it's describing something else. I had a brain fart there for a second. So 아닌 is it's not and it's describing something else. The next word we have is 존재, which means existence. Your literal existence. 존재. All right, and then the last word we have is 같다가도. 같다가도. And that comes from the verb 같다, which means it's the same or like something else or as if something else. So if you want to say, oh, it's the same, you could say 같아요. 똑같아요. It's exactly the same. Or if you want to say, oh, it's kind of similar to something else. It's like this. 같다. We can use this verb here. Now, we talked about this earlier in the song. If you add 또 to the end of the verb, it's like saying even. Even if, even when this happens. So 같다가도, even if it's like something else. All right, so let's break it down word by word. 아무것도, nothing. 아닌, not. 존재, existence. 같다가도, even if it's like that. Wow, so literally translated, this could be like, wow, how would you literally translate this? Even if it's like I don't exist? Again, I feel special. Wow. As you can see, that's in a really different word order from the English. So they translate that to, one moment I feel as if I'm nothing at all. So you can see that there's nothing there that actually says one moment. It's more like even if I feel like I don't exist. But like I said before, when we're translating it into English, we try to make it sound natural in English. So that's why a lot of the time when you see these lyric videos, those color-coded lyric videos, you might be confused if you're trying to learn it word by word and you think this doesn't really add up. So that's why breaking it down like this is really helpful. All right, so 아무것도 아닌 존재 같다가도. Let's keep going. All right, guys, we're on the home stretch. Just 2 more lines and then you know this entire chorus. Okay, so let's take a look at this next line. 사라져도 모를 사람 같다가도. Let's take a listen.
사라져도 모를 사람 같다가도.
And this comes from 4 different Korean words. 사라져도. So we keep seeing that do over and over again in this song. When you add it to the end of a verb here, it just means even if this verb. So 사라져도, 사라져 is the informal conjugation of 사라지다, which means to disappear. And then we're just adding 도. So you're adding 도 to the end of the informal conjugation. 사라지다, 사라져, 사라져도. Even if disappear. We don't have a subject there. All right, and the next word we have is 모르. And that comes from the verb 모르다, which means to not know something. It means I don't know. 몰라요. Maybe you've heard that before. 몰라, 몰라요. Now, we have this in its adjective form. You guys have heard the adjective form over and over. We can take a verb and use it to describe something, like that girl who doesn't know anything. And normally we have an n. So if you want to say that girl who doesn't know anything or that girl who I don't know, we would say 모르는. But if we want to describe something in the future, like what will happen, we just add the to it. So think of as in the past, 는 as in the present, and as in the future. That took me a long time to realize when I was first learning Korean. So I'm trying to save you guys just a little bit of time here. So 뭐를 was describing something in the future. Okay. Now the next word is 사람. Maybe you've heard this word before. 사람 just means person. All right, and the last word we have is katagado. And I believe we had that word in the last sentence. Comes from kata, which means same or like something. And again, that do form. Even this. Even if it's like this. Okay, so 사라져도, to disappear, or even if, disappear. 모를, don't know, in the future. 사람, person. 같아가도, even if it's like that. So, even if I disappear and I'm someone, and it's like I'm someone people don't know. Wow, that's confusing. Wow, 사라져도, even if disappear. 모를 사람. Someone people don't know. Unknown person. 같아가도, even if it's like that. And we translated that as like no one would notice if I disappeared. Wow. Like no one would know if I disappeared. Wow. So we don't have the word notice here, but we do have motor. People wouldn't know. And katagado is that like. All right. So you might be wondering, like, where are these extra words coming in? Where is notice? And again, when we try to translate things, there's different ways we can choose to translate it. So if people don't know something happened, it's the same as saying people didn't notice. It's just a word choice here. All right, guys, we have one more line left. Let's check it out. And our very last line of the entire chorus is 날 부르는 네 목소리에 I feel loved, I feel so special. Let's listen to that. All right, and this last line just has 4 Korean words in it. So let's break them down. So again, we have 날, which comes from the informal way to say me or I, and the 를 object marker. But we're shortening it to save a few seconds, so we say 날 instead of 나를. All right, and the next word we have is 부르는. And that comes from the verb 부르다, which means to call someone, to call out someone's name. 불러요, 부르다, 부르는. That's the adjective form, describing someone that's calling out something. All right, and the next word we have is 니. And it's spelled exactly like 네, like yes, but in this case it means your. Again, it took me a long time to realize this. When I was first learning Korean, I was thinking, why is it spelled like ne, but it said like ni? And I had to see it over and over again to just accept they can shorten your from noye or noi to just ni and spell it like this. All right, and the last thing we have is 목소리에. And that comes from 목소리, which means voice. So 목 means throat, and 소리 means sound. So throat sound, voice. Interesting. And then we have 에 after it, which is a particle that means at. It's happening at somewhere. 목소리에, at your voice. All right, so 날, me, I'm the object. 부르는, calling. 니, your. 목소리에, voice. So at your voice, who is calling me? I feel loved. I feel so special. And they chose to translate this as, but when I hear you calling me. So there's no word for but, and there's no word for hearing. But it just sounds nicer than at your voice that calls me. I feel loved. I feel so special. All right, guys. So now that we learned every line of this chorus, word by word, let's listen to the entire chorus to see if it makes sense.
You make me feel special. 세상이 아무리 날 주저앉혀도 아프고 말들이 날 찔러도 네가 있어 난 다시 웃어. That's what you do. How can I feel special? 아무것도 아닌 존재 같다가도 잘해줘도 모를 사람 같다가도 내 부르는 네 목소리에 I feel love. I feel so special.
All right, are you starting to understand it? Hopefully you are. If not, definitely rewind this video and tackle it word by word until you're singing along. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and please leave a comment below letting me know which song I should decode next. 안녕히 계세요.